So Aaron's word processing service does word processing. The rate for services is $32 per hour plus a $31.50 one-time charge. The total cost to a customer depends on the number of hours it takes to complete the job. Find the equation that expresses the total cost in terms of the number of hours required to complete the job. So again, we have to know what each piece is. Also, we need to know what is our input and what is our output. Remember, we're dealing with 4 different pieces of information. We have the input variable, we have the output variable, and then we have 2 numerical constants. These will be replaced with numbers. This is the initial cost, or the y-intercept. I shouldn't say cost because it's not always going to be money, but initial value. And this is the rate of change, or the rate at which we increase or decrease, rate of change. So rate. All right, so in this case, we are looking at X, our input value, being the number of hours. Oops, that was supposed to be highlighted. The number of hours it takes to complete the job. This is the input, or X variable. The output is the total cost. That's what our Y is going to represent. A and B are going to be these 2 values here. Now the question is which is which? Ask yourself real quick. What is the initial cost? Meaning that if someone went in and it took 0 hours, they still get paid that amount, even if there's 0 hours. And you might say, well, why are you thinking about 0 hours? Because if I put a 0 in for X, this goes away. Anything times 0 is what that extra piece over here is, because this whole term zeroes out, and we had that one originally. And that's why in this case, A is the 3150, because no matter what, if Aaron's word processing service is called and they come out, they get 3150, even if they answer one question and they leave in less than 5 minutes, they get that 3150. On top of that 3150, for every hour that they work, they get an additional $32, meaning that every hour they work, they increase $32, which is why their slope is 32. They're increasing that $32 as they go through the entire process. So the equation that represents this monetary money situation is 3150, that's the fixed cost, plus 32x. 32 times the number of hours they work. If they worked 3 hours, we would put 3 in. We would multiply that and we would add the fixed cost to that product. All right, and so on and so forth. It's always good to note, I know I wrote it up above, but help yourself realize too what Y and X are. Y is the total cost, and X is the number of hours. And this is important to note, because if you're asked to calculate something with this equation, you need to know where you're plugging that number in. Am I plugging it in for X, or am I plugging it in for Y? Because we can solve something the other way as well. You could be said or asked, if it cost $50 if they're charged $50, how many hours did they work? Well, you would plug the 50 in for Y, because that was the total cost. You wouldn't plug 50 in for X because they didn't say they worked for 50 hours. They said if the cost was $50. All right, and we will be doing some examples of those too. Right now, we're just working on setting it up, but I want you to be thinking about this as you do these initial examples.